You're listening to the Gambling Gauchos, part of the Stake in the Plains Content Network and the Dave Campbell's Republic of Football podcast feed. Just a couple of casino caballeros talking Texas Tech, betting on the Big 12 and beyond. Now, here's Kyle Jacobson and Rob Bro live from the Cardinal Sports Center studio.
Ooh, welcome into the Gambling Gauchos. I'm Rob Bro. He's Kyle Jacobson alongside five-time guest on the podcast, BJ Symons. I'm losing count. He's been on here so much. Definitely the most joined podcast guest. The latest, BJ Symons. How you doing, man?
What's up? I know it's definitely the third annual preseason Gaucho pick podcast, but I think I've joined a couple of other times as well. So, yeah.
Full pick'ems.
Yeah, exactly. Glad to be back.
Glad to have you, BJ.
Am I an honorable Gaucho?
For sure. The third Gaucho, the fourth Gaucho, whatever it is.
Bet.
We normally talk to you about some football stuff. We've talked at length about your Texas Tech playing career, but do you have a favorite touchdown you threw? I know the people are going to hate us if we don't talk a little bit about it.
A favorite touchdown? Wow. Never been asked that one. Favorite touchdown? I'm trying to think, was there any like close games? Was there anything memorable? I think everyone we did I think they did like a rewatch of the Ole Miss game. I threw one to Carlos in the end zone to win that one in Oxford. That was pretty memorable. I don't even know if I can remember my first. Would have been when I was younger in some mop-up duty when Cliff was out.
Was it to Cole Roberts in Waco?
It might have been. It might have been the C-Rob in Waco. Pop 30. It could.
Back when you were number 4?
Back when I was number 4, before J-Mac hit me up and said, hey, I got 4 tattooed on my arm. I need that. I'm like, all right.
I got a question for you. We posted the clip of your 8 touchdowns against A&M school record. And I think around touchdown number 6 or so, you got a little bit greedy. You got one in a pretty tight spot to your boy Mickey Peters. And I'm not going to say you hung him out to dry, but he got popped pretty good. Did you really need to leave him out there like that for touchdown number 7? Like, was 6 just not enough for you?
Yeah, I think he definitely would have been in the protocol. Not sure he would have been back in the game and if we were still playing today. But, that was my bad.
Worked out. He caught it.
So ask me again. What did you say on the touchdown question? Did you say favorite or most? How did you word that?
Yeah, favorite touchdown.
Okay.
I don't know if you had like a.
I think I have a non-favorite or memorable. Most memorable was when I threw a touchdown and did the body bump and blew my ACL out. But that would be on the list of non-favorite touchdowns.
That's your least favorite celebration of all time?
Yeah. Yep. Careful when you do the body bump. Might blow a knee out.
I will be careful when we go to Laramie that I won't be body bumping anybody. Got to protect my ACLs.
So, can I get one of those cool little headphones with the mics?
Yeah, man.
Am I supposed to have one of those?
No, we can.
I want to make sure I can hear you guys and they can hear me correctly if I don't have one of those.
Yeah, if we do a live pod in Laramie, we'll bring them down.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
Rob, I don't want to expose you or anything, but like speaking of kind of embarrassing athletics injuries, didn't you like slip on an acorn or something in a parking lot about a year ago? And you weren't hurt like super badly or anything, but you were like playing soccer or something?
Oh yeah, I had my Hey Dudes on and I was playing a little parking lot soccer with an acorn and absolutely bit the dust, face first.
I guess
leaving work. Yeah.
Since we're swapping embarrassing stories, I'll out myself. Back in high school, when I was running track, I was like goofing around and tried to jump over a hurdle like backwards, And, jumping over it forward, if you hit it, it's no big deal because it, leans with your body motion, and it's usually not a big deal. But backwards, it's kind of like hitting the wall, and I just tumbled over it and ate a bunch of dirt. So, right in front of, a bunch of girls that I was trying to be like, hey, look, I can jump over backwards, and just horrible. Not a good look.
It happens. Happens to the best out there, Kyle.
Happens to all of us.
All right, we're losing listeners, y'all. Let's roll.
Let's do it. You guys want to start with conference champions or Big 12 totals first? You have any questions there?
I'm just a guest. I don't make those calls.
All right, let's start with the conference champions. We'll start alphabetically in the ACC. I'll take Florida State plus 170 just because I hate Clemson to win the ACC. I think Florida State, right there last year, takes another step this year and wins the ACC.
I'm going to go. I like Klubenik. I think the kid where's he from? Westlake. Every time he came in for DJ Ungalale or whatever, the team just looked better. He probably should have been playing a lot sooner. And so, yeah, he's going to have, first year with the, being the guy. So, I'll go with the chalk and go with Clemson.
What if I told y'all there was a team that won 9 games last year that's 40-1 in the ACC right now?
Was it North Carolina?
It was Duke.
Duke.
Year 1 under Mike Elko. I would say that's interesting and that I'm not picking Duke. I'm going to, I think for the third year in a row, pick Mac Brown and the Tar Heels. They're 10-1. A little bit of a value pick compared to Clemson and Florida State, both around. I'm showing plus 150 on action. That's what I'm looking at. They might have the best quarterback in the country. He might be the number 1 overall pick. He's recruited really well there, so they should have top 20 talent nationally. So I'll take the Tar Heels at 10-1. Kind of an upset pick.
I do think that is your go-to in the ACC every year in North Carolina.
Yep.
Is that Drake May?
Drake May, yeah.
Big Drake May guy, huh?
I guess. He looks solid to me from what I've seen.
All right, that's the ACC. We'll go to the Big Ten next. I believe that's alphabetically right. Kyle, you want to start us here?
Yeah, let me pull up the odds. I don't think that, there's enough value to take anybody besides Ohio State or Michigan. I'll go Michigan. I feel a little bit more confident about their head coach and their quarterback position. I wish I had, done a little bit more research to find something interesting here, but I don't know. Like I said, I just don't think there's enough value to pick anybody besides one of those two schools. I'm guessing the schedules are comparable. Of course, they have to play each other. I think they play in Ann Arbor this year, so maybe that also kind of leans Michigan's way. Just don't know what Ohio State's going to have. I'm sure they have somebody good at quarterback, but they lose C.J. Stroud. So give me Michigan. I see them at plus 177 here on action. That's going to be my pick in the Big Ten.
No Wisconsin at plus 950 or Minnesota rowing the boat.
I do want to row the boat. Graham Harrell and the Boilermakers, Hudson Card, big Hudson Card guy. They're 100-1. Might splash like $5 on that just in case. Just in case the spread offense takes the Big Ten by storm there in West Lafayette or wherever Purdue plays. But no, give me the Wolverines.
I'll go opposite of you and go Ohio State. BJ, who do you have in the Big Ten?
I'm going to go Michigan as well. I know that's kind of a lame pick, but I'll expand more why. Don't want to ruin one of my other answers.
Fair enough. All right, let's go to the Big 12. I'll go last here just because we'll see. Hey, BJ, you want to lead us off in the Big 12?
Yeah, look, I'm going to be the homer guy. I think the Big 12 is wide open. If you look at all the conferences, I think, like you said, like Michigan, we've got like some pretty heavy favorites that, when you're looking at the odds, they're like kind of even money, or not far from it when you talk about like Clemson and Michigan or Ohio State. You look at the Big 12, and it's a little bit more wide open. I think Tech, the making is there, for a realistic shot. So I'm going to go with it. I'm not going to pick Texas, right? I mean, I think Texas technically betting wise is the favorite. I don't know. Quinn Ewers seems to disappear sometimes, and he can turn into a pumpkin in some games, and then looks really good at others. I just hadn't really seen a lot of consistency there. Oklahoma, I think the second favorite. I don't know. I don't know much about their team, although their defense being coached by Venables was terrible last year. Kansas State, I'm not big on that quarterback that was, I don't know, was it Howard?
Howard.
Yeah, I mean, he was okay when, because Martinez got injured some last year. But I don't know. I think, I like Tech. I think Tech, look, we're Tech people, but I think realistically, in the past, would I say, oh, Tech's going to win the Big 12? I think that this year, realistically speaking, is as good a chance as any that we've had. So,
I don't hate that. I don't hate that pick at all. And again, it's hard to kind of take off your scarlet and black glasses, but there's a world right now where you're favored in at least 7 or 8 of your Big 12 games. I don't think you'll be favored in Austin, but the other ones that are close right now, in Waco, hosting TCU, hosting K-State, you could be a small favorite by the time those roll around. And just because you're favored doesn't mean you're guaranteed to win. But at 10-1, that's good value for a team that might be favored in at least 6, maybe 7 or 8 Big 12 games. I'm going to go a bit of a different direction, and this will require some explanation. Oklahoma at plus 362 on action. I guess you can probably find them at plus 350, plus 360, plus 370, somewhere around there. Same kind of logic as Texas Tech. They won't be favored in that Red River shootout game, but besides that, they might be minimum 4-point favorites in every Big 12 game besides that one. So, if they do beat Texas, their path is super clear. Even if they drop that one, I think they've got a really good shot to finish 8-1, 7-2 at worst in conference play. To get a team with that much talent and that easy of a schedule at plus 360-ish, I think is pretty good. I don't think the value is there with Texas at, pretty much right at even odds. So I don't actually know if Oklahoma is going to win the Big 12. Gun to my head, I don't know if I would pick that, but just weighing the schedule and the value there, that would probably be my pick at the current odds.
All right, I'm going with both of you. Texas Tech and Oklahoma will play for the Big 12 title, and Texas Tech will win. Plus 1,100, oldest team in the Big 12. Tyler Shuck is undefeated in games he started and finished. I don't think I could say that stat enough.
You love that tidbit.
I love it. This is a guy who is going to go out and have a full season finally, and I think that's the difference here for Texas Tech. But I can't get over the age. 16 super seniors. At all the right places. They finally have an offensive line, hopefully, that is going to be legitimate. So I'll take Texas Tech plus 1,100 and just insane value. Absolutely insane value here. Longest odds I'm picking for anybody.
Yeah, imagine if they beat Oregon week 2, how drastically the odds might shift. They might immediately go to number 3 or number 2 best odds even in the Big 12 to be the champion at that point in the season if they beat Oregon, which is a big if.
All right, let's go to the SEC. I'll start here. Georgia, I said last year, was going to – this was like a point of contention that Georgia was going to regress, okay? They did not. They won another national championship. Looked even better in year 2 than they did in year 1. But now, losing a quarterback, losing some talent, surely they'll regress this year, at least to the point where Alabama plus 300 can get it done. I'll take Bama over Georgia in a top-heavy SEC.
I think Georgia clearly warrants a lot of consideration here because you could argue that, certainly the next two best teams play in the same division and maybe even 3 or 4 of the next 5 or 6 all play in the West. And so their path to get there is considerably easier. I'm looking here to see if there's anything else that like Tennessee might be a sexy pick, but they go to Tuscaloosa. They get to host Georgia, but there's like a look-ahead line. They're already 8-point dogs, even though that game is in Knoxville. So is there enough there? I don't know. LSU might be kind of a sexy pick. They won the West last year in year 1 with Brian Kelly. Could they get back there as more of a value pick? I do like when teams play a big non-conference game early like they do, and they play Florida State. Kind of no consequences in terms of the SEC title race. Looking at LSU's schedule right now, same deal. They go to Tuscaloosa. Not that that's like an automatic L, but that gives me some pause. I guess I'll just pick Georgia. I mean, I just don't see a good enough path for anybody else. And I know that's a lame pick, but they're going to at the very least be in the title game. I don't really see a way where they don't win the East Division. And so I'll stick with the Bulldogs.
I'm rolling with LSU. I like the quarterback Daniels. They got a really stud over there from the Houston area that was like freshman, all everything defensive player. He's like, I think the highest odds for the Heisman on defense as far as defensive players go. So I'm going to roll with Go Tigers, LSU.
Brian Kelly, huh?
My neighbor's from next door, Louisiana.
Okay.
Oh.
I might actually switch my pick because looking at LSU's schedule, here's like their last half. At home against Auburn, at home against Army. They go to Tuscaloosa, like I mentioned. That's going to be tough. Home against Florida, home against Georgia State, home against A&M. So I don't know, maybe if Bama drops one earlier in the year or if they pull off the upset there, their entire back half of the schedule is at home. They avoid Tennessee and Georgia out of the East. I'm going to change my pick to LSU.
Sold by BJ there.
Yeah, but I get like an extra half point or something on that if they win it.
I'll give you some commission if it cashes.
All right, let's go to the most interesting conference in America for 2023, their final season, the Pac-12. Everybody's last shot at everybody. I'll take Washington at plus 340. Utah back-to-back champs at plus 550 was tempting. I was all in on USC last year, but I just can't bring myself to pick USC twice in a row. Love Lincoln Riley, but he just cannot finish big games. So I'll take Washington and the quarterback of my dreams, Michael Penix Jr., to take the Pac-12.
USC, they're going to be really good on offense with Caleb Williams. I don't know what they're doing on defense. I thought that Lincoln was for sure going to fire. I'm all of a sudden drawing a blank on the guy he brought over from OU. I mean, that defense was just absolutely horrible last year. Utah, Cam Rising coming off the knee injury. I don't really know what to expect there. Just to be different from you two, or I don't know if I'm being different. I guess I am, right? I'm going to roll with the Ducks who come to Lubbock and go with Bo Nix in Oregon. I'm going to roll with the Ducks.
So we have one Washington and one Oregon?
Yes.
I think Oregon State they're kind of like the Texas Tech of the Pac-12, maybe picked 4th or 5th, 10-1, 11-1, had a good season last year. I don't think that has staying power. I think that that's a sort of manufactured hype kind of deal. I don't think Oregon State's going to be a contender. Give me USC. I know that Lincoln has his big game flaws, but I also saw him win with experienced quarterbacks in the Big 12 over and over. And you can say what you want about when he got to the playoff and things like that, but with Cam Rising maybe not fully healthy coming into the season, they have one tough road game at Oregon, second last game of the season. Besides that, they go on the road to South Bend, but that is a game that won't impact the Pac-12 title race. So I see them as a one-loss team in the Pac-12, and that'll be enough to get to the title game, and they'll be favored there. So give me the reigning Heisman Trophy winner Caleb Williams and a guy that most would say is a top 5 coach in college football, Lincoln Riley.
Hey, real quick, I apologize. My daughter just got home, so I'm eating on the pod. You think we can maybe get a new sponsor for the Gauchos? What do you think?
Yeah, we could try.
Stop sign of Texas.
She brought me a blizzard, so I got to eat it, you know?
Yeah.
Looking out for Dad.
Have to. All right, so we've got the 5 big conferences. Let's go to Heisman winners now. You want to give 3 favorites? Some finalists? Who wants to start here? Kyle, I know you're chomping at the bit right there.
Yeah, I think we picked 3 Heisman winners last year. I never like picking a repeat winner. I just think even if you have a good enough season like Lamar Jackson in 2015, they kind of discriminate against you. I think the Heisman committee will do whatever they can to not award it to the same guy. So I'm sure Caleb Williams will put up, 5,000 yards total. I don't think it'll matter though. Coinciding with my pick of LSU that I thought of all by myself, without any input from anyone else, Jaden Daniels, 11-1. If they have the kind of year where they win the SEC, I'm sure he's going to be a big part of that. I think Jordan Travis, there's been a ton of hype about him coming out of Florida State. And Drake May, another guy from the ACC, 15-1. I'll pick those 3. It's a quarterback's award. I'm a little bit tempted. If I had a 4th pick, I would take Marvin Harrison Jr. at 20-1 if a receiver was going to win it. I don't think a running back will win it more than once every 20 years moving forward. So give me those 3 quarterbacks, Jaden Daniels, LSU, Jordan Travis, Florida State, Drake May, North Carolina. And then I'm going to maybe get a half unit, cheat a little bit on Marvin Harrison Jr. from Ohio State.
So are we picking 3 Heisman winners? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, some finalists.
All right. So I kind of teased this a little bit earlier. Kyle, what do you have are your odds for J.J. McCarthy?
18-1.
Okay. I think Michigan could potentially – they're a threat to win it all. I think they're going to win the Big Ten. I think they're going to be in the playoff. And they've beaten Ohio State, the last 2 years? Maybe – I don't know. I think that there's tremendous odds there. He's going to be in his 2nd year as a starter. I know they run the ball with Corum and all that. He got hurt at the end of the year and he's back. But I just think when you look at, to your point, it's a quarterback award and it's a team award. Now, I get it. The best team guy doesn't always win it. We've seen that in the past with, Manziel, they were 9-3 or whatever, you know what I mean? So guys can win it putting up a stellar season, even when their team doesn't go to the playoff or win their conference or go, 12-0 or 11-1. I just think there's tremendous value there at 18-1. When you talk about he's the quarterback on a team they could go 12-0. And if they go 12-0, then I really love the 18-1. So, McCarthy's the guy I had penciled. If Tech really does win the Big 12 and Tyler Shuck stays healthy, I'm going to be honest. I got plus 10,000 and put $100 on Shuck just for funsies. So you never know. Lightning can strike, and if you look at the offense. I mean, look at so Bailey Zappi sets the all-time NCAA record under the same offensive coordinator. What if Tyler Shuck stays healthy all year, Tech wins the Big 12, and he puts up Zappi type numbers? Like, you're telling me there's not value at like plus 10,000 on Tyler Shuck. So I look at like kind of in the top guys, Caleb Williams would be kind of the no-brainer. He's going to have a massive year and like maybe be it. But if I'm looking for value, so I'm going like Caleb Williams would be the guy I'd put money on as like a hedge to maybe win it or highly likely win it. But then McCarthy, and then let's throw Shuck in for value.
Same value pick with Tyler Shuck. Same reason. What?
Rob, before you give your finals, can I guess who one of them is?
Sure.
This might be a little bit off the radar for some, but do you have Sam Hartman from Notre Dame?
No.
Okay. We've talked about him before. I thought you might be like, hey, Notre Dame, if they win 11 games.
No.
He was good at Wake Forest. So
I think he'll be better than what they've had the last couple of years. Certainly better than Ian Book.
Oh, he's way beter.
So they'll have a good
Love
season.
Hartman.
Yeah.
But it's Notre Dame's offense, and I don't
Yeah.
know.
He's not going to put up a lot of stats. I took Penix at 1,800 plus 1,800, Caleb Williams at plus 600 as the favorites. I think a Pac-12 quarterback could put up big numbers this year. I think they're going to look a lot like the Big 12 circa 2012 and just put up a bunch of numbers there in the pack, and that's good for Heisman odds.
can I run through some other like notable Big 12?
Sure.
So Quinn Ewers, who all accounts this offseason indicate that he's shredded with a six-pack, is 13-1. He's actually the third shortest odds out of anybody, shortest odds of any player in the Big 12. Let's see here. This is not a Big 12 guy. Kind of intriguing to me. Joe Milton, Tennessee, 23-1. Cannon, and before he got hurt last year, Hendon Hooker was arguably the front runner, certainly top three. Dylan Gabriel, Oklahoma's quarterback, 40-1.
Yep.
Quinshon Judkins, freshman running back from Ole Miss last year. We saw him in the Texas Bowl. Bottled him up pretty good for most of the night. He's 50-1 heading into his sophomore campaign.
He's a running back, and his team will be 500.
Yeah. I mean, he might run for 2,000 yards, and it won't matter. Spencer Rattler, Rob, 55-1, your boy, Spencer Rattler.
My guy, Spencer.
Who else we got here? This is kind of interesting. Brock Bowers, tight end out of Georgia, 65-1. He's ahead of Cam Rising, 70-1, Utah's quarterback. Arch Manning, 80-1. You're kind of betting on like a really early injury to Quinn Ewers and that a true freshman would come in and be the most outstanding player in college football. Jackson Arnold from Oklahoma, 100-1. Xavier Worthy, Texas wide receiver, 100-1. Jalen Daniels, Big 12 offensive preseason player of the year, 100-1.
What about
Howard?
Got one for you from the Big 12. What about John Rice Plumlee?
I am almost there. There's a bunch of Big 12 quarterbacks coming up. So Will Howard, Kansas State, also 100-1. Blake Shapen, Baylor, 100-1.
Don't leave out Bowman.
Okay, yeah. I haven't seen Bowman yet. Shuck, 100-1. John Rice Plumlee, 120-1. I might splash a little on maybe the greatest athlete in all of college football. Shedeur Sanders.
Dual sport.
Yeah. Shedeur Sanders, 120-1. Spencer Sanders at Ole Miss, the third-string quarterback, 125-1. Hudson Card, 136-1. BJ, I am not seeing Chandler Morris, TCU, 150-1.
No Alan Bowman?
Keaton Slovis, 175-1.
What about Donovan Smith?
Not seen. They've got Hunter Deckers on here, 200-1. He's not going to play this year, but I don't see.
He bet on himself.
Yeah.
He's the only one with a Hunter Deckers ticket.
Yeah.
JT Daniels at Rice now, 300-1. Emory Jones, Cincinnati quarterback, 300-1. I don't see Alan Bowman or yeah. Who was the other one you asked about?
Donovan Smith.
Yeah, I don't see Donovan or Alan Bowman. I'm sure they have odds posted somewhere, but they're not on the action consensus.
Won the job according to Duarte.
How crazy would you have to be to bet? So Cade McNamara, transfer from Michigan, Iowa's starting quarterback, 150-1. How crazy would you have to be to bet on Iowa's starting quarterback to win the Heisman? Like if there's a prop bet on this guy's passing yards, it's probably like 1,700, and you're
Honestly, the field goal kicker probably had better odds than the quarterback.
For a safety,
seriously, yeah.
safety or linebacker,
Maybe even the punter.
field position. It's a game of field position. What are your thoughts on Dylan Gabriel, BJ?
I like him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I liked him at UCF. I mean, so for a guy that stayed in conference, and he transferred. Yeah, I think he's he's kind of like I'm not big on lefties, but for lefties I like him. He's kind of got like a little compact release. He's kind of gritty. He's mobile. He can run around a little bit. Yeah, I think Gabriel's, when Kyle's talking about OU being his Big 12 pick, there's value on some somebody like that when you're looking about just value for Heisman. But Heisman aside, I like Gabriel as a quarterback.
Good to know. I don't like him.
Okay.
But I don't know anything. That's why I was wanting your opinion. I don't know what maybe it is just because he's a lefty.
Yeah, he's a lefty, so it's
That's
hard.
all it is. Yeah.
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
But you like Penix though, right?
That's true. And I don't know why. It's just something about Dylan Gabriel. Maybe it's just because he's at OU. Because I did like him at UCF, so maybe I'm just built-in bias there.
Or is it just because I said he was good and that we should consider him for first-team quarterback? I'm sure that played a part.
That could be it. All right, some Big 12 totals here. I've got them down. We'll just use the ones I saw today from Vegas Insider.
Perfect.
They are, I believe, very current. We'll go alphabetically here, except for when I forgot BYU, so we'll do BYU at the end. Let's see. Baylor 7.5. Baylor 7.5.
I'm going under. Under 7.5.
Me too. I'll take a snug under it for Baylor.
8 home games. Does that do anything for y'all?
I mean, it'll snug.
I think if Cam Rising doesn't play or is at like 80% in that game when Utah goes to Waco, they could very easily start 3-0. Problem is the next two they host Texas and then go to UCF. I don't think they'll win in Orlando. This one's close. They get Cincinnati, they get Iowa State, they get Houston, probably the 3 worst teams in the conference, or 3 of the 4 worst. They get West Virginia. I'm going to go over just based on schedule and all those home games. I don't think they're going to be a great team. I think 8-4, and it might not be pretty. But I just don't know if I see 5 losses on here.
They're a 6 or 7 win team under.
Agreed. Cincinnati 5.5. Cincinnati. I also will take the under here.
See, I had it at 5 in my notes when I took my notes down. 5.5 is a little more challenging because I had over 5. So do I go over 5.5? I'm going to say under. I think the number's 5. So I'm going to say under 5.5.
Same deal. Maybe I weigh schedule too heavily. In the non-con, they go to Pitt. They're probably not going to win that game. But then besides themselves, they get the 3 worst Big 12 teams on their schedule. So I don't know. I'm going to go under, though, because even those bad teams that they play, Houston and West Virginia, are on the road. If they lose one of those, it's hard to see them being a bowl team. So I'll say under. I think 5 wins is probably their not their ceiling, but pretty likely they're not going to go much over that, if any. So I'll go under 5.5.
Up next, Houston at 4.5. Houston, 4.5.
Over. I got them 5 wins. Over 4.5. You're not going to get a lot of analysis from me on the schedule and stuff. I'm going to leave that to Kyle. I'm just going straight to the picks.
Me too. I'm also taking the over. I believe in Donovan Smith.
I think they won't be a factor in the Big 12, but they could get to the over by going 3-0 in non-con and then only winning 2 conference games. You said 4.5, right?
4.5.
Yeah, I think 5 wins is about right, so I'll say over.
Iowa State, and this is still at 5.5, so you might have some value here. I'll take the under on 5.5 for Iowa State.
Under. Their defense is going to be good. They might hold teams to 10 or 13 points and lose, consistently. They kind of did that last year, and that was with a guy that should have returned as their starting quarterback, starting running back, starting offensive lineman. I don't see how they're going to score against anybody. They're going to be the worst offense by far in the conference. So under.
Okay, so what is y'all's number on that? Because I was looking around and it was off the board because, I guess, of the gambling situation.
Yeah.
What number are we going with officially here?
So this is the original, I guess, 5.5.
Yeah,
they're probably with Hunter Deckers, so you get a free one here.
Yeah, under.
It's the gratis spot on the bingo card.
Exactly. Free space.
KU at 6.5.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, when we interviewed Kevin Flaherty with 24/7 or CBS,
same thing.
He said that Kansas's 6.5 ticket was one of the most bet season unders out of any team in the country. And so I don't know if there's actually value in, quote, fading the public. But a lot of people, I think, a lot of bettors expect them to kind of return to earth a little bit. I think their offense is going to be really good. We've seen really good offenses come through here and not win more than 6.5 games. But I think the non-conference is doable. They do go on the road to Nevada. They host Illinois. Illinois was solid last year. But I could see them at 3 wins before Big 12 play, and then they wouldn't even have to go above 500 in conference. So I'm leaning over just based on how good their offense is.
Yeah, their schedule is really easy early on. They could start 4-0. I mean, realistically, you alluded to it. Missouri State at home. I mean, that's an automatic W. First Big 12 opener is BYU at home. Then their schedule gets a lot tougher, but they end with Cincinnati. I think I'm going to go with under. I think they're going to start strong and then have a tough go, but I'm going to say they're 6-6. So I'm going to say under 6.5. They're going to be 6-6.
I'll take a snug over. I think they'll go 7-5. Lose their bowl game.
I think they might get to 7-5 the last game of the season at Cincinnati.
Yeah,
it's like the middle of their schedule is tougher. Texas, UCF, OU, Texas Tech, Kansas State, but then they get an easier one. So I can see them like starting 5-3 and then dropping a bunch or winning 1 out of the next 4 or something like that. But then kind of like they did last year, they started 5-0 and then they were down to like 5-4 before they got bowl eligible, which was kind of their big benchmark. So it might not be till the last game of the season, but I think they'll get to 7-5.
Kansas State 8.5.
Go ahead, Rob. You start us.
Kleiman is a winner. I like Will Howard, but I don't know how many games he'll play this year. Kansas State's kind of had the injury bug at quarterback, just like Texas Tech has, playing a bunch of guys. Now they've done better with it, but Kleiman wins. He just won the Big 12. I have no reason to believe they won't win 9 games again. I'll take the over, just pure based on consistency from Kleiman.
So I think looking at their schedule, it's favorable. It's easier for me to look at losses potentially than wins for them when I'm looking at, a team that potentially could win 8, 9, 10 games. I think they beat Iowa State, they beat Kansas, they beat Baylor. Losses I see maybe on the road at Texas, in Lubbock, maybe in Stillwater. I mean, that's really it. TCU, I don't know. They play them at home. Houston, they got them at home. Baylor at home. UCF at home. I think 9-3 is realistic. And even if they win one of those road games, they could lose another one of those home. So I think 9-3 is realistic. I'm going to say over.
Kyle, big Kansas State guy, Kyle.
Yeah, should I change hats real quick? I've got the they're kind of like Tech. They have a really pivotal toss-up game in the non-conference early. They play Missouri week 3. I think that game will be within a 3-point spread one way or the other. That's on the road, by the way. If they win that one, it's their path becomes pretty clear. I don't know, man. I'm going to say snug under 8-4. But I think they'll be a good team. They'll be a tough out. But if they lose on the road to Mizzou and they start 2-1, like BJ said, they go to Stillwater, they go to Lubbock, they go to Austin. That starts to kind of add up. Even if they can hold serve at home against good teams like TCU, UCF, they get a gimme at the end of the season. They host Iowa State, so like automatic +1 after their first 11 games. They go to Lawrence. They're going to get Kansas's best shot. So give me 8-4, even though I don't think they'll be a lot worse than last year. I still think they'll be a really good team, but I'll say just under.
No chance Dorkowitz beats Kleiman.
I hope you're right.
Dorkowitz. Did you see his celebrating the 5-star pick video?
Yeah, everything that guy does is embarrassing. I don't know why they keep filming that and posting it. Like,
he jumped and hugged another grown man. That was just amazing.
Yeah. They want revenge, though. They lost that game 40-6 last year.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
OU 9.5. Schedule alone, I'll take the over.
Yeah, I think they'll be 5-0 going into the Red River game. Even if they lose that, the schedule gets easy again, in my opinion. Their road games aren't as tough, and their home games are, Norman is still a tough place to win. If I picked them to win the Big 12, I've got to be consistent. I think over, but a lot of that is due to schedule.
I think they may have the easiest schedule in the conference. I'm going to say over, which makes me think Kyle's onto something with his pick on the value for the conference. But I mean, Texas and Cotton Bowl, I don't know. They could lose they could lose against Oklahoma State in that Bedlam game. I don't know. Maybe they go like Provo and lose. But other than that, I mean, Cincinnati, Iowa State, UCF, West Virginia. I mean, I don't know. I don't see a lot of losses on the schedule, to be honest. Even if they lose the Bedlam game and they lose Texas, just assuming they lose those 2 games, that's still 10 wins. They'd have to lose like on the road at Kansas or on the road at BYU. I don't know, maybe TCU could beat them at home in Norman, but I don't know. I'm going to say over.
All right, we are halfway through the Big 12 here, smoking them. Kyle, what else is smoked that you like?
Well, that's a little bit of a loaded question, but I think you were going with a Rahino barbecue ad read. BJ, have you had Rahino yet?
I have not.
Well,
no, I don't get to Lubbock very often. So,
are you going for the Oregon game or anything like that?
I'm going for the Houston game.
Okay, we'll take you to Rahino. Open offer. We'll buy you some barbecue. It's the best barbecue in West Texas. Whatever you like, ribs, brisket, turkey, sausage, jalapeno poppers, they've got it all. Raheno Market is now open 7 days a week, and then the restaurant is open 5 days a week. The lines can be long, so order ahead, RahenoBBQ.com. Give them a follow on social at RahenoBBQ.
Maybe we get a Raheno tailgate or something for the Houston game.
Hey, there's an idea.
Depending on the time.
Yeah.
Always in for Raheno tailgate.
Yeah. Catered.
Hell yeah.
That'd be fun.
All right, going to Oklahoma State, 6.5. 6.5 season total. Gundy has not missed a bowl. Has he missed a bowl in his career?
Maybe like his first year at Oklahoma State, but I don't think so.
Been a long time. Been a long time. I'll take the under. 6.5.
Same. I'm gonna roll the under just because Alan Bowman left me on read my DMs when he transferred. So I'm going under.
The schedule's a joke. They play the 4 worst teams in the Big 12. They play Central Arkansas and South Alabama in the non-con. I want to say under because I don't think they'll be any good. I'm not an Alan Bowman believer. I'm not a hater because he transferred. I'm just like looking around and, the guy he couldn't beat out and transferred away from, I didn't think was very good either. No offense. So I want to say under, but like they get Iowa State, they get West Virginia. Arizona State's their toughest non-con game. That's in Tempe. Let me count this up.
Take your time.
I think, so they split those. That's an L. So 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 2 and 3. Split those 3 and 4.
They seems like they have a lot of home games, doesn't it?
3 and 5. Man, this is a tough number. Again, I think this sort of swings on the non-con game. Arizona State, I think they're 7 and 5 if they win that, 6 and 6 if they lose it. Year 1 for Dillingham at Arizona State, I don't know if they're ready for that. I'll say over, but they're going to be a crappy 7 and 5 team.
Speaking of crappy 7 and 5 teams, TCU 7.5 is the number. I'll take the under.
That's bold. Back that up. Why? Why are you picking the defending national runner-up to go 7 wins?
They got extremely lucky last year. Every quarterback was hurt that they played. They were down in the fourth quarter to Kansas State and Texas Tech. Both won those games after quarterback injuries. I don't think everyone will be hurt this year when they play them. They lost their quarterback, wide receiver, emergency break glass, throw down field if open guy. They lost their best running back. They lost their best playmaker. They lost all 3 of their inside offensive linemen. So offensively, I don't know that they've done enough to replace that.
Do you think they lose to either Colorado or SMU in the non-con?
Prime is prime for an upset. I don't know that they will, but
if they go 3-0 in non-con, you're basically predicting below 500 in the Big 12.
Yeah, I think they win 7 games.
Okay.
So what's the number? What are we saying?
7.5 is the number.
Okay. I think they're going to be 7-0. So the question is, do they win one of their last 5 at K-State, at Tech, Texas at home, Baylor at home, at OU? Right. So do they win one of those 5? I mean, it's the most seesaw schedule that you'll see. Literally, here's their first 7 games: Colorado at home, Nicholls, Houston, SMU, West Virginia, Iowa State, BYU at home. I'm going to be honest. I don't know a lot about BYU this year. It's hard for me to say what I think about that game because, just honestly speaking, I don't know a lot about BYU. But they play them at home. I'm going to say they're 7-0, and then they win one of those last 5. So I'm going to say over 7.5.
I'm going over as well. Rob, I agree with what you're saying. They did have some injury luck last year, both on their own team and opposing teams. They lucked into starting the Heisman runner-up. It wasn't the guy they picked out of fall camp. And they did. I mean, their offense bail out. They're like, Quentin Johnston's down there somewhere, and they just throw it up. And
Right.
Yep.
they did that a lot last year.
Yeah, they do lose some key players.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Johnson, the David.
But I've also seen them, like I've seen people that cover TCU argue, okay, yeah, we lose a guy like Quentin Johnston, but maybe our wide receiver room, top to bottom, has more depth than it did last year with Johnston and Darius Davis. I don't know if they're right or if that's like the Mahomes-Shimanek syndrome, like, oh, we might be even better running this system with Shimanek than we were with the literal greatest player of all time. They're real amped about this Oklahoma State transfer.
Who said?
Averaged like 8 yards per catch last year. Like, they think he's going to be a big difference maker. I don't think I buy that. Like, you're losing the Heisman runner-up, you're losing a first-round wide receiver, you're losing additional playmakers beyond those guys. I don't think they lost a lot defensively. I mean, they lose the Thorpe Award winner, but they bring back a bunch of other really good DBs.
Sure.
Really at all three levels. So I think over. I mean, I don't know. Schedule plays a part of it. I think they'll go 3-0 in the non-con. Here's a take. They could go 8-4 this year, and like maybe be favored over last year's team on a neutral field.
You saying this TCU team would be favored against last year's TCU team?
Yeah, like last year's team never really got a lot of respect from the odds makers. Like in the rematch with Kansas State, I think they were slight underdogs. They were 14 or 17-point dogs in the national championship. So like, I think the odds makers kind of saw what we all saw. Like, yeah, their record is 12-0 or whatever, but we're not sold that this is that good of a team. And so this year's team could have like some opposite luck, and maybe they win 8 games, but they should have won 10. And pound for pound, they're better than last year. I don't see that happening, but I don't know. I wouldn't like totally rule that out as an impossibility. I was thinking about them actually through this lens. Like, even if Duggan were coming back, what would we be saying? Like, well, he had the greatest season ever last year. Like, he's due for, let's say, 5 or 10% regression. New offensive coordinator. He's losing his top running back, his top receiving weapon. Like, even if he was coming back, I would sort of have question marks about that offense, and he's not coming back. A guy who's started like 2 or 3 career games is in his place. So I don't know. A lot of TCU fans seem to think that they can reload pretty easily and contend in the same fashion they did last year. I don't buy that, but I think they'll go over 7.5.
Let's go to Texas. 9.5 is the number. 9.5.
Over.
Any reason there, or just a gut feeling? That Austin in you?
No. I think they'll lose in Tuscaloosa, but I think that game might be really close. And if Alabama doesn't have a quarterback, they might win that game. I think they're going to be so dominant on the offensive line. And like, if I don't think I'm totally sold on the Quinn Ewers hype, but if he's 80% of what the hype is, and he's got start calling plays behind that O-line, and with weapons like Worthy and Jatavion Sanders, I think they'll be the best offense in the Big 12. And they've got talent on defense as well. I mean, we picked their guy who won preseason Defensive Player of the Year, Jalen Ford. So we say this every year. The logic is always that Texas ought to be a top 1 or 2 team in the Big 12 because they can out-talent everybody, and that's true again this year. Will it actually happen? I don't know. But I think their season under is like 9-1 in the last decade. Sark, that's a big tidbit about Sark's career. He's never won double-digit games. I think this is the season that finally snap out of all that and get to 10 wins.
BJ?
I'm going to say over. I think I'm not going to go all the way and say Texas is back, but I think they've obviously disappointed historically over and over and over again. I'm not going to say they're a title contender, but I think they can win 10 games. I think this team can go 10-2, and anything probably less than that is going to be super disappointing. But it's the same story every year. I mean, this team was supposed to be that last year. It's the same situation every year with them, but I don't know why I think this year's going to be any different. I just I do think they can. I do think they can win 10 games this year.
I agree with both of you, but just for the sake of being different, I'll take the under. Texas Tech, I picked them to win the Big 12, so I'm going to say over 7.5. I think that's pretty obvious on my end. Schedule-wise, I think it breaks out decently. I think they do have a tough schedule, but I think they can win 8 games. And obviously, if they're in the Big 12 title race, it's more than 8, but that Oregon game is going to be a huge swinger there early.
Yeah, it's an easy over for me. I think finding 5 losses on the schedule is tough, even if you lose some of those toss-up type games. But again, I'll go back to it. You're not going to be favored in Austin. I think Oregon could close really close to a pick'em. And then some of those games that, we would forecast to be a pick'em a couple months from now, if Texas having the kind of season we think they can and will, you'll be a slight home favorite against Kansas State and TCU. And so I don't know. I'm kind of a believer that this is trending toward Texas Tech as being really undervalued at the beginning of the season, kind of like Kansas and TCU were last year. And that you could, betting on them individual games, you could make a lot of money the first half of the season before the market kind of catches up. And if we are sitting here Thanksgiving Day and looking back at their past 11 games and said, okay, they're favored in, let's say, 9 of those 11 games before going to Austin, over under 7.5 wins. I mean, I think you like those odds. So I'm a believer in this team. I think Rob will have more of an in-depth preview on why we're believers and maybe game-by-game kind of predictions before the season kicks off. But, yeah, over 7.5 I feel really good about.
Same. I think this is a great value bet for those of you gamblers out there. I know my book has this regular season total juiced to the under 7.5. I just don't see it. I mean, the schedule, I think you've got the Oregon game is y'all alluded to. It's going to be one that tells a lot about this team, but you do play them at home. Obviously, you've got a chance anytime you play anybody at home in Lubbock. Other than that, you go to Austin. I don't think that scares anybody, right? I mean, we've won there before. Other than that, you get Kansas State at home. You get TCU at home. You go to Kansas, but I think they're going to be down a little bit. Like I said, I think they've had a good couple of years, nice little run. Would they start like 7-0 last year or something, and then 6-0 or something, and they were ranked? So, I think you got to look out for these games on the road, like at BYU, right? At Baylor. Those like sleeper road Big 12 games, you got to win those games. And historically, Tech hasn't always done that. We go on the road to Iowa State and lose. Go to Stillwater and lose. Go to Lawrence and lose. The road games, you got to hold serve on those. And then, I mean, let's say you lose to Oregon and Texas, and I'm not saying we will, but I mean, you still got to find 2 more losses. Actually 3 more losses.
Yeah.
To hit the under. Right. And I don't know. I would hammer the over 7.5, like if you're getting plus money too. So.
All right, let's go to UCF at 6.5.
pulling up the schedule.
I just wrapped up the last one, so
Yeah, my gut says over because I think they're going to be the best equipped of the 4 newcomers. Pretty interesting non-con. Nobody jumps out as a difficult opponent, but they go all the way from Orlando to Boise. That could be tough. But I could see them getting a 3-0 in the non-con. Some games that might be considered kind of toss-up types like Baylor. They get there in Orlando, Oklahoma State, same deal. Like I think they'll be slight favorites in games like that. I'll say over. I took over on Houston, under on Cincinnati. So this would be 2-1 to the over for the newcomers so far. But yeah, I think over. I think they'll be a really tough out for a newcomer.
I will also take the over. Snug, though. I'm going to go snug over seven wins here.
what's our number here?
6.5.
6.5. Yeah, I'm gonna say 6. I'm gonna say 6. I'm gonna go under. I think the number is. I don't know. The number I had was 7, and I was going under 7. But I think under 7 still puts you at 6. So for 6.5, I'm still sticking with it.
Rob, how many overs versus unders have I bet so far?
Well, I lost my pen for the first half, but you're all overs here on the back half.
That's what I feel like. I've taken like 3 or 4 overs in a row.
Yeah. My pen was up here on my computer. I didn't see it in the shadow. Real dumbass move for me. All right, let's go to West Virginia at 4.5. And I do not trust the climb. I don't trust Neil Brown, and I'm going to take the under.
Same. Under.
Yeah, this might surprise you, Rob. I'm going to go under. I think it could be over if they called plays the right way. But I don't trust your boy Neil Brown. I think they need to be the slowest team that has the highest percentage of run plays in the conference. And he was talking about going tempo and throwing vertical at Big 12 Media Days. And I was like, man, that is the last thing your current roster is designed to do. So I
run the damn ball, Neil, but he won't do it.
Who's their quarterback?
Garrett Green.
He's a pretty shifty runner, like probably not a great passer, but kind of like a gamer type. He can run the ball pretty well, but he's not a big guy, so kind of some durability concerns. He's like 5'11", 6 foot. But they've got 2 really good running backs. They return all 5 offensive linemen. They have like 105 career starts. They have an All-American center. So they need to be running it up the gut like 50 times a game, but they're not going to do that. So under. A brutal non-con, Penn State and Pitt. They'd probably be fortunate to get to 2-1 in the non-con.
All right, final one. BYU, 5.5. And you alluded to it earlier. I don't know anything about BYU. BJ said it earlier. I really don't. I don't know how they're going to react to being in the Big 12, but I went over just because I think they can be a bowl team. I don't think they're going to come in and win 8 games, but BYU and Kalani Sitake and Keaton Slovis, I think they have enough to do 6 wins.
Under.
Okay. BJ's shaking his head.
Yeah, I'm going to go under.
Just because it's a new Big 12 team. I think
Pac-12 South champ BYU can't hack it in a power conference.
I don't know. I just think it's going to be. But BYU, it's not like the conference. It's not like the competition level is going to be a challenge for them because they've always played. What were they, independent? So like it's not like they never scheduled anybody. They were an independent, but they were still playing like, pretty challenging teams and a challenging schedule. It wasn't like they were playing. They were playing a Power 5 schedule. I just did you say their quarterback is Slovis?
Yeah, from USC.
From Pitt.
And Pitt, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you lose track. It's like,
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was their quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I liked the kid at USC. Yeah, I don't know. But then he went to Pitt, and then he okay, just for them having a quarterback like on his third team in 3 years, I'm saying under.
I'm going to trail both of y'all on the under. They go to Fayetteville in the non-con. That's going to be really tough.
I think Rob went over. Didn't mean to cut you off. But.
No worries. I thought y'all both picked under. They're going to have a good home field advantage, but their roster construction is very portal heavy. And I know sometimes you have to do that. I'm not sold on their coach. I think their coach is a good guy, but I don't actually know if I would put him like in the top half of the conference in terms of coaching chops. So I think they're going to be a tough out in Provo, but they go to Fayetteville. That's going to be tough. They're one of the few teams that plays Texas and Oklahoma. They finish in Stillwater. I don't think Oklahoma State's going to be that good, but that's still a tough road environment. So I'm going to go under. I think they've got some good players, some experienced players, but I'm worried about any team that's kind of that portal heavy. Can they mesh quickly enough to win enough games? And that would put me at 2-2 on the newcomers, over and under. So I'm going to go under. And the analytics hate them. I kind of think eyeball tests and just, in my opinion, they're better than what the analytics say. But they're kind of viewed by some of those models as like a bottom 3 or 4 team in the conference. So that's concerning as well.
All right. That's all we have. We'll do a mailbag, but I'm not going to make you stick around through this mailbag, BJ, if you don't want to. We already got 60 minutes of us in. If you want to stick around for the mailbag, you're welcome to. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'll stick.
All right. Got the mailbag. We got the mailbag drop and everything.
Who's the mailbag sponsored by?
We got to drop first.
You've got mail.
Mail time.
The mail's here. Come on. I found these in my mailbag.
Well, it's time to reach into the old mailbag here.
Enjoy reading the fan mail. Don't read it all at once.
Any mail for me? You don't have a Tic Tac, do you?
Did I get any mail?
No. Why not, honey?
Kyle loves that drop.
BJ, do you like that mailbag clip?
Loved it.
All right, I'm outnumbered then.
Sports radio guy, BJ Symons.
Rob, I realized last episode I said I was going to do the Barnett, Howard, and Williams ad read after and we never did it. So it's been like a 4-day cliffhanger. But the mailbag is sponsored by our friends over at Barnett, Howard, and Williams. If you're an Iowa State quarterback who gets caught allegedly betting on college football games, call our friends over at Barnett, Howard, and Williams, bhwlawfirm.com if you want to learn more. I don't actually know if they do sports betting, but they do Title IX, student litigation, catastrophic injury, criminal defense, all that good stuff. I hope you never need them, but 3 double Texas Tech graduates in your corner if you do. bhwlawfirm.com.
All right, under, not over, but under. August 28th, when the Texas Tech basketball schedule releases their full non-conference schedule. August 28th. The first game is November 8th.
Over.
Yeah, it's over after August 28th.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
They probably should have said before or after instead of over on.
Over.
Yeah. Give me the after.
Okay.
Over.
High school football start.
They have to get a roster first. To fill out a roster first before they can start putting the schedule out.
All right, what do you prefer in high school football? Watching the same team every week, watching whatever team is nearby, or trying to catch a best player in the area? I like sticking with one team. I'm going to be the voice of the Lubbock High Westerners this year. It's going to be a tough road to hoe, but we can do it.
I think if you've got an attachment to a team for some reason, like if your kid plays there or you're the voice of the team, that makes sense. Otherwise, I'm going best player in the area. I just kind of want to see like the next level talent and go check out some really good linebacker or quarterback or receiver that everybody's talking about that's coming through town that night.
Yeah, what were the other options?
There was following the same team every week, watching whatever team is nearby, or trying to catch a best player.
Watching whatever team is nearby. I guess I kind of fall into watching whatever team is nearby and same team. I'm just going to go with, my daughter goes to Klein Kane High School, so go Hurricanes.
Nice.
Although they do have a really good left tackles being recruited. They've got Jadon Blue who came out of there, the running back at Texas, Matthew Golden, the receiver at Houston. So, yeah, Klein Kane Hurricanes. Go Canes.
It's the same as my NFL draft strategy. Best player available is how I follow high school football.
You're going to go to more high school football in Fort Worth?
Well, ideally, but I'll probably be driving to Lubbock every Friday night, so maybe.
We'll see.
Yeah.
What will Joey's longest win streak at Tech be when all is said and done? Longest win streak. Is that this year or?
I think total.
General.
Ever? 15-0?
That's a great question. So what, can anyone even say, I wonder what Mike Leach's longest win streak was? He's the all-time winningest coach, right?
Well, it was 10, right?
Well, unless he won the bowl game the season before.
Yeah.
So 11 at least.
So Joey's at 4, and if we beat Oregon, there's a path to, 9 pretty easily before the schedule picks up. How about this? If I gave y'all over under 9.5 during his tenure.
Over. He'll get one big stretch.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Yeah, I think he can get to double digits, whether it's over 2 seasons or 1 or whatever.
What is the most ideal time to eat dinner? You a supper guy or dinner guy?
I'm a dinner guy. If it's on vacation, it's late. So I was in Vegas last weekend or the weekend before that, and I scheduled my dinner reservations. We had a couple of reservations. I make them at 9. Dinner here at home for us is usually kind of late too. We're not really early dinner people because I've got 3 young kids and they're all busy with practices and stuff. So it's usually a later dinner. So I'm in that late category, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've got a toddler, and so I have 2 options: either eat before she starts bedtime, which we'd have to wrap up dinner by 6:30, 6:45, or wait till she's down, and then, especially when it's 106 every day, if I'm going to go grill, I'm going to do that. I mean, it's still hot at 8 o'clock or something, but those are a little bit later. But I never eat between 6:45 and 7:30 because that's just not doable. So either before that or after that.
I'd say it's a good 6:15. It's a good dinner time.
That's early.
But I'm a single man with no trouble.
You might as well get the early bird special at Furs or something if you can just bump that up by about 20 minutes.
We don't have Furs anymore. Rest in peace.
The only time I'm ever doing a 6:15 dinner is if I'm fasting. I'm fasting in a while, so.
You've just been named the GM of an NFL expansion team. Your expansion draft is over, and you've got average to below average players. It's time for the NFL draft. Assuming you take quarterback in one of the first 2 rounds, which position are you drafting in the other?
First off, the premise of the question is flawed. If I was GM, I would not have average or below average players. But let's assume that
expansion draft.
Well, still, I'm going to punch above my weight there. I think you have to go edge rusher in today's game. I would accept playmaking receiver, lockdown corner, or left tackle, but the game revolves around the quarterback. And so assets to either go attack the other team's quarterback or protect your own quarterback has to be the answer. But I'm going edge rusher.
That's a pretty good answer. I mean, especially if your edge rushers like Joey Bosa. You get somebody like that. That's it's an automatic. I think receivers. It all depends on who can really impact the game, right? You can get. It's hard to find that guy that can just really impact the game. If it's like a shutdown corner that like, Revis Island and a guy that just totally shuts down half the field, it could be a corner, it could be an edge rusher. I think Kyle's onto something there with left tackle, corner, edge.
Yeah, those are certainly the most important players on the
I
field.
think there's too many. There's so many talented ones. It's it's. I mean, obviously there's difference makers, right? But I think there's a lot of them. There's a lot more of them per se than talking about those other positions where you've got guys that can take over a game.
I would also push back on drafting a quarterback. If I was building a team, I would draft a quarterback when I was ready to draft a quarterback. Well, I would the Cowboys lucked into Dak Prescott. He came into a full team, and they kind of got stuck with him because of that. But
Or
I'd
like
rather draft a quarterback once you have a full team.
Yeah, like the NFL's last expansion team, BJ's hometown, Houston Texans. They drafted David Carr number 1, and he got sacked 50 times a year because they couldn't protect him. And so, yeah, same deal. Like, why invest in the franchise quarterback until you're ready to?
If you could create a menu item, where would it be and what would it be? It would be at Regino Barbecue. It would be a sandwich with a bunch of green chilies on it.
I've mentioned this before, but I think a breakfast taco with, of course, your egg and cheese, but like some brisket, bacon, some grilled onions, maybe like a little bit of cilantro and jalapeno. I think that would be really good. That'd be like an elite breakfast taco.
At Regino Barbecue?
Yeah, or maybe like a fish product that I caught with Wreckham Outdoor.
Wreckham Outdoor. Follow them on Instagram, Wreckham Outdoor. Find them online at WreckhamOutdoor.com. It's all West Texas, but if you are a Red Raider in the Baffin Bay area and you want to fish legendary Baffin Bay, you can wade fish with Captain Preston Long at Wreckham Outdoors. WreckhamOutdoors.com, or again on Instagram, Wreckham Outdoors. Just incredible fit. Do you like fish picks, BJ? Do you like guys catching fish and holding them up? Who doesn't?
Yeah.
Outdoors. Captain Preston Long.
Yeah, there's a few. I follow a few outdoors accounts per se.
Those are the only catfish I follow on social media.
Okay. All right.
BJ, I'm guessing yours is going to be like a Tex-Mex dish. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna just pass. I'm not that creative. Like there's not much that like isn't on a menu somewhere that I've had that I enjoy. So if I made something up, it's probably already on a menu somewhere.
Just take your go-to and call it the BJ Symons.
Exactly.
Let's see. Some of these are Kyle, now your thoughts on CC's Pizza, since you didn't get to answer that one last week.
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend like slice for slice, CC's is better than some of the other options that are out there. But as a middle school or high school boy, hard to beat a buffet like that. And so, yeah, I'm pro CC's.
For sure. Those little especially those little cheese bread things.
Oh yeah. And
they're like little squares of small cheese sticks, Yeah,
or if nobody else was there, you go ask hey, can we get some cinnamon rolls? And they're like, yeah, sure. And they just bring a whole sheet to your table with you and your friends. It's awesome.
Yeah, I forgot about the cinnamon rolls.
That's the thing about CC's. Even though it's a buffet, you can't be scared to add. They'll make whatever you want.
Yeah.
If you don't see a fresh one out there, you're like, hey, bro, this pep's been sitting here for 15 minutes. Will you make me a fresh pep? And they're like, yeah, sure. And then you get whatever you want.
Yeah, you got free refills on the soda, little arcade at most CC's if you got a few quarters in your pocket.
You can get a salad or some pasta. I mean,
no, if I'm going to a pizza buffet, I'm not getting salad. There's a time and place for that.
Let's see. What Winter Olympic event would Kyle win gold in?
I probably wouldn't, but the Winter Olympic sport that looks most fun to me, if I ever wanted to like pick up a sport, would be the short track speed skating. The way they just like fly around there, I think that's pretty cool. So obviously I wouldn't win anything, but that one looks like the most fun if I was going to try it out.
The next question is, what Summer Olympic event would Rob hold in?
I'm in the same ballpark with the skating. I was kind of thinking figure skating.
Yeah, I definitely couldn't do that.
Some duos? You could go Blazing Saddles and skate together now.
No, I was talking about for Kyle, not me.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I would need a duet partner.
Yeah.
So,
what Summer Olympic event would Rob win gold in?
Summer Olympic. Are you a good shot? Like,
so it's probably not anything track related.
No.
Why do you say that, BJ?
What about like I could see him winning like archery or something, or one of these like what's it called where you like shoot and then run?
Yeah, like skeet shooting.
Isn't
there the decathlon?
No, there's something where you
yeah, it's like cross country rifle or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like ski and then you like take your rifle off, like shoot at a target, and then you start skiing again.
That's the winter.
Oh, that's winter. That's winter.
Yeah.
We're talking summer. I was thinking like ping pong. Just give me a couple of months.
How about like diving?
Have you seen the fat guy diving on Instagram?
No.
He's good, dude. All right. I don't want to break any diving boards.
Hey, we got a comment on the YouTube comments. Curling. If the three of us teamed up with Trey Wolf, we could probably get a curling bronze medal at least. Podium finish.
Big curling guy.
Yeah.
What's your number one excuse for getting out of a social event you don't want to go to? Recording a podcast.
I have a toddler. I can get out of anything.
Oh.
Hey, sorry, I got to go pick her up from daycare. Sorry, she's not feeling well. Sorry, her bedtime is at this and this. We only have the babysitter till such and such. Get you out of anything. Nobody's going to be like, oh, really? Well, like nobody's going to fact check. They're like, oh, okay, yeah. So it's nice.
BJ, you getting out of any social events you got to go to? Excuse me.
Yeah, I'm just not big on reframe the whole question.
So it's what's your number one excuse for getting out of a social event you don't want to go to?
Just that I don't really need an excuse. I just say no, I'm not really big on that. And I'm pretty honest. Brutally honest. I'm not big on social events. I'm not big on being around a lot of people in general. I hate lines, I hate waits, I hate crowds. I hate heat. So if it's a social event outside, the odds are definitely that I'm not going to go. Yeah, I just say I don't want to go, and I don't go. I don't like to yeah.
Fair enough. One has to go forever: steak, shrimp, fried chicken, or ribs. One has to go forever.
Shrimp.
Yeah, I'm going shrimp.
Shrimp, the easy one there. Oh, here's a good one. What do you expect out of the former Tech starters around the league this season? Donovan Smith, Reggie Pearson, and Alan Bowman.
I already gave my Reggie Pearson prediction last episode. I think he'll be on a lot of highlight reels. And I'll just leave it at that.
For both teams.
I don't expect much from Alan Bowman. I'm rooting for Donovan Smith more so. I think he had some of the tools and potential, and don't want him to do it against us, obviously, but I hope he has a good season at Houston, and I think he will.
BJ, any Donovan Smith thoughts?
Hey, can y'all hear my dog barking?
A little bit, but my dogs do it all the time, so no worries.
We got a new puppy, so.
Oh.
Yeah. Where's Pearson?
Oklahoma.
Yeah, I liked him. I thought he was a really good safety. Yeah, I think Pearson will have the best best season of the three. Put it that way. Yeah.
All right, we've got another choose one to what Kyle?
Which quarterback would you rather have on your squad if you were an offensive coordinator, Donovan or Alan Bowman?
That's a hard question because I already alluded to Alan Bowman. He left me on read when I DM'd him. Donovan's kind of a winner, limited as a passer, but like gritty, tough, like, can win. So, yeah. That's actually a really, really tough question to answer because I don't think there's just like a for sure one or the other. It's a great question. I'm gonna go with Donovan of the two.
It's a good answer.
Me too. Start, bench, process, cut. You familiar with this, BJ? Start, bench, cut?
Yeah, of course.
All right. Lemon cake, chocolate cake, carrot cake, vanilla cake.
I'll start vanilla, bench chocolate, cut carrot, and what was the process? Lemon?
Lemon.
Yeah. Process lemon, cut carrot.
Starting lemon cake. It's goated.
Yeah, especially those like lemon pudding cakes. Like,
oh yeah.
HEB sells those little round ones, like the lemon with the hole in the middle, the little lemon cakes, pudding cakes. Those are legit. Am I supposed to start, bench, and cut? What is process? I'm not familiar with process.
That's in between a bench and a cut. Like you can cut a player and you don't really care where he goes, but if you process him, you'll help him find a good landing spot where he can get some playing time. So it's in between bench and cut.
Okay. I'm definitely starting lemon cake. I'm benching vanilla and chocolate. If I have ice cream with it, I'm rolling chocolate. If it's just cake with no ice cream, I'm rolling vanilla, and I'll probably cut carrot.
I would probably bench carrot. Cream cheese frosting is really good, and you usually get it with the carrot cake.
If we had a fifth cake, red velvet in the fold, I would red shirt that, which is in between bench and process. Just for the record.
Start, bench, process, cut. The Gambling Gauchos 4 sponsors. No, we're not going to do that. Not going to do that. All right, we're almost at 90 minutes of us. I think that's enough questions from the mailbag. We appreciate everyone asking the questions. If you want to get in the Discord mailbag, you can do so by joining us on Patreon, patreon.com/gamblinggauchos. BJ, thanks for joining us. Do you have any final thoughts, BJ?
No, I'm looking forward to Laramie. We're really excited about that trip. Haven't been that excited about a road trip in a while. I like to go on Tech road game trips, especially places that you never really get to see very often. So Laramie was one of those. So looking forward to the weather. Like I said, I got a pretty large ticket that I placed in Vegas a couple weeks ago that I'm excited about for that game. So we've hammered 13.5.
BJ Symons focused on Wyoming.
There's one more question. What kind of blizzard were you eating?
It was a blizzard with Reese's cups and Snickers both.
Ooh,
nice. So going with just the Reese's cups or the Snicker blizzard, you just get both of them. So,
nice. Kyle, do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, shout out to my mom. She was streaming today. Apparently, she was texting me during the show, and like when you asked a question about CC, she was like, "I love to take you there," because she took me to CC's all the time as a kid. And then BJ, like the second or third time you asked Rob to repeat a question, she was like, "Is BJ even paying attention?" So she's like real invested in all of us, paying attention. And anyway, so shout out to mom.
Shout out to Kyle's mom. All right, that's all we got. Appreciate you.
Mom. I'll pay better attention next time, Mom. Sorry about that.
She'll forgive you. Don't worry.
All right.
Fellas, thanks again.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, man. See you in a couple weeks.
I'll be looking forward to that barbecue tailgate at the Houston game.
We'll lock it in.
Let's do it.
On me.
Especially if that Wyoming ticket cashes.
Absolutely.
When that Wyoming ticket cashes.
Win.
It does.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Love y'all.